little bit about Dylan Wiseman. Going into last season, he was kind of a second line type player. He hadn't had a prominent role. He ends up second team All-SEC, and now he's a guy that you're looking at to play more than one position.
Really proud of him. He's an individual who's really matured, really developed in our football program. Very, very tough individual. And again, his versatility in the offensive front, he can play center, he can play both guard positions, and he's really taken on a leadership and ownership role. And that's the beauty of college football, is at least a 30-year roster changes over each and every year. And I think that's what makes college football exciting. With that changeover, there's new roles and opportunities for individuals, not only on the field, but also from a leadership standpoint. And that's Dylan Wiseman. He's got a great role on our football team as one of our leaders.
There's a lot of high expectations about how good this team might be this year, and there's also a hype surrounding the second game of the season. When you look around your locker room, I guess you have a pretty good feel for how well they might be able to handle those kind of things this year.
Yeah, I don't pay much attention to hype or expectations. We're responsible for what we create, and we create that on a daily basis. We still have a long ways to go. We're going through the process right now of developing our football team, and we have to make sure that we're 9 strong in position groups, 22 strong, but also our depth. And this is a league that really, the teams that have success are the teams that have great depth across the board at all position groups. So we're still in the infant stages of really developing our identity in this football team, from leadership to style of play. We have to start executing more at a higher rate in both sides of the ball, and even in the special teams game as well. So again, that's kind of outside noise. Don't pay any attention to that. I think you judge teams by did they overachieve or underachieve, and that's the way I've always approached it. Our expectations are very high internally, so what's out there externally. But again, we're in the infant stages of Team 120.
Which, at what point did "Own It" kind of become that slogan that it's become? When did that develop?
Oh, it's something that thinking throughout the course of the spring is, every year we try to have something a little bit different. Last year was My All, and something that really is about this football team, this current team. Like I said, no two teams are ever the same. And so what did this team need? And I think Own It is very fitting for this football team. And when you really think about it, it's owning everything. It's owning the expectations, it's owning your style of play, owning your conditioning, owning your fundamentals, owning your attitude, owning your academics, owning your personal life. There's so much that goes into it. And if you look at it, when you own something, you're going to take greater care of it if you rent it or borrow it. And we talk about that all the time. Just own it. Own ball security, own taking the ball away, all those things. And I think it's very fitting for this football team.
Last season during fall camp, it was devastating injury after injury after injury. This year it doesn't seem to be the case.
Are you the new Dustin?
Yeah, I'll be the new Dustin. Fucking injury. Add that to my list of things. So what's been the difference this year? What doesn't seem to have as many bad injuries?
Yeah, knock on wood, it's still a long camp. And it's a fine line. We have to practice with a high level of physicality. That's our style of play. We have to practice with great intensity, no matter if it's mental effort and mental intensity in a walkthrough or whether it's in a practice setting. That's critical for our football team. But I think Jason McVay's done a great job in terms of laying out the foundation for the training room. And it's also preventing those injuries. It's the recovery, it's the sleep, it's the hydration, it's mental fatigue. We haven't had very many soft tissue injuries. I think that's a byproduct of this summer with all the explosive training and the different stretches that we've done. But I think this football team will really define itself here in the next couple days. When you start getting into practice 11, 12, 13, 14, that's kind of where you draw the line in the sand, and that's where your team is born, from your leadership to your toughness. Great players, that's where they pick it up and they assert themselves on this team, where others kind of go into a shell and they drop off when it gets very demanding. And so the next few days, I think, will tell us a lot of the direction of our football team. But I think it's a byproduct of our players understanding recovery. I think it's a byproduct of learning how to practice. A lot of times, injuries in practice are freakish things. You know, maybe an individual falling down and he puts his hand down on the ground, or piles. We've really talked about practice etiquette from when we go tag tempo to thud tempo to tackle tempo. So I think a lot of it too is the maturity of a team of knowing how to practice.
How